Thank you very much for joining in today. Like Blessing rightly said, today is going to be very conversational. So everybody would have the opportunity to talk and share their experiences, and then also ask lots of questions so that we can have an educated hangout today. So I'm going to share my screen and just walk you guys through what Mastering Backend is and exactly how we tend to produce production-ready backend engineers and the systems that we've been using to do that. Let's start with what Mastering Backend is. So Mastering Backend is a platform where we produce job-ready and highly paid backend engineers. Okay, and over the years, we have been doing this, but before it all started, I think as to everything, there is like a story behind few things that people do. So for me, I actually wasted 4 years learning Java programming language, right? So the wasted in that is not that the programming language, turns out to be a waste, but it's more on the, pattern and processes and system that I used to learn Java when I was learning it. So I was so focused on, understanding the theories and, learning the syntax and all of that. But that was actually like a wrong way of learning, right? If you take a look at it. And that cost me a lot, 4 years of, digging deep into tutorials, watching YouTube courses and videos, until one day, right, I decided to do something about it. So after 4 years of learning Java, I wasn't able to build any application at all. And then one day I started, okay, let me try to build a Windows calculator, right? However I would do it, let me make sure that that Windows calculator live. That was the moment, things begins to change. And I actually did build that Windows calculator. I was doing Java at the time, and Java at that time was Java SE, which we used to build desktop applications. So I finally did build that Windows calculator, but I tried, like I struggled. I failed several times, and I was literally sleeping on Stack Overflow just to make sure that I finally built that calculator. But when I did, right, or when I was struggling, a lot of things that I've come to notice that changed was in how I ask questions, how I search things on Google, and how I search things on YouTube. So instead of me doing like, what is this, trying to learn a particular syntax or a particular function in Java, I was trying to like search things like, how do I do this? How do I move a button from this point to this point, right? So you notice that learning shift helped me a lot in becoming a production-ready backend engineer. So from there, after building that Windows calculator, it became very, very interesting. And then I moved to like building, library system, hospital management systems, and other difficult ones. But the lesson in my story is that project-based learning isn't just, it's not just a better approach, but it's actually transformational. You're going to see the transformation from the way you've been learning, like your style of learning, to this new style of learning. That is what project learning does. You can also spot the problems that I faced when I was wasting my 4 years, tutorial hell, no practice experience, and then you notice career stagnations, where I was like in a particular point for 4 years. I couldn't move. So when I changed my approach, it actually opens a lot of doors because I now become someone that can build stuff and then show that I have these things on my portfolio. So that same mindset and vision is actually what we brought into building Mastering Backend. So I'm building Mastering Backend to be a platform that I wish I had. And then with my team, we are building Mastering Backend to be a platform that we are giving to people to actually solve that problem of tutorial hell, stagnations. So the vision is to actually empower the next generation of software engineers to solve real-world problems and strive in the global tech economy. All right. So if you are able to have a portfolio of things that you've done, then I think that you'll be able to compete in the global market with your practical knowledge. So as of now, we're actually expanding not just backend engineering, but into AI engineering, cybersecurity, product engineering. So any kind of system, engineering skills that has to do with coding, but not on like the front end aspect, right? So that is exactly where we are. So if you look at the categories that we've mentioned here, it's in line with that kind of category that I've just mentioned. Okay, that is the vision. The approach that we actually use to do this is very simple. It's just a 3-step approach. So the first one is learn. So we are going to allow you to learn, but you're not going to learn in a theoretical format. You're going to learn practically so that you don't go deep into that tutorial hell. For us, we've structured learning paths, courses, and boot camps in a format that basically follows this approach. And then when you're done with the learning part, we then move into like the build part. So the build part is where we integrate real-world projects into what you have been learning, so that you don't just stay in the theoretical aspect. You have things that you can look back at and say, okay, I actually built this. So that means I have enough skill to move into the grow part. Okay, so at the grow part, we actually try to show you different ways that you can learn highly paying job. So we start by teaching you different interviewing skills, by giving you platforms that helps you with mock interview. And then we give you certifications. And then we also give you like community mentorship where we teach you, different interviewing skills and invite other experts to help you with, career growth. So that is these 3 approaches that we've discovered that work over the years that we have been training other people. So wherever you are in the chain, so if you're a beginner, then you definitely should start with the learning part. But if you are intermediate a little, then you start with the build part, right? And then if you are advanced, we also have the grow parts for you. Okay, so these different strategies actually makes us different from other traditional platforms. So let's take a look. For Udemy, for instance, they will give you courses, very high value courses, and then you go through it. So with this, you're still, going back to the theoretical part of learning, right? Because first, you don't have like someone that is dedicated or partner that is dedicated to helping you move away from that. All right. So no projects, no support. They just give you certificates, right? So we already have the experience with learning with Udemy. Okay, backend, we have structured learning parts. So these are not just parts. These are structured learning sequence that helps to follow structurally and also integrate these learning approaches that we have discovered that has worked. And then we integrate it into our learning paths. And then we also give you real-world projects where you have like a peer or a team that basically works with you in the lodge or in the community that you belong to in our Slack community, right? So we have like a group of people that are building that project with you, and then you can ask questions, and then you can also interact together to solve specific problems that you might have. So that is how the build part actually works, okay? And then we also have ongoing community mentorship, like this one and many other events that we host that helps you with different ways that you can actually grow once you've been able to acquire these skills. And then at the same time, we also give you job placement and readiness still in our community. Okay, so this is how Mastering Backend is different from other traditional platforms that we already know. Okay, so our success formula is structured learning paths, which I've already explained, and then real-world projects, which I've also showed you exactly how it works, and then the interview preparation, which we have our system, our mock interview platform for, and different webinars that we are going to be hosting just to help you grow and improve in your career. And also we offer career support where necessary and when we have real candidates that are ready to move the needles. That is how we operate. This is our formula, and we've used this for individuals, right? And you've seen success tremendously. So that is all I have for you guys. I just wanted this to be very quick, but that is all I have. And I mean, as the conversation continues, I'm going to answer more questions. And also we are going to have, conversations together so that we understand better how things are, how we operate. So thank you very much, guys.